The autumn sun cast long shadows across the cobblestones of Valthorne's central marketplace, where the sounds of commerce mingled with the cries of vendors hawking their wares. Among the bustling crowd, a different kind of transaction was taking place. One that spoke to the darker corners of human nature, where desperation met opportunity in the most unfortunate of ways. Ilara stood with downcast eyes, her worn brown dress hanging loosely on her thin frame. The past year had been cruel to her family. When her father's merchant ship was lost in a storm and her mother fell gravely ill, the mounting debts had consumed everything they owned. Now, at 17, she found herself bound by law to work off her family's obligations, a practice that, while legal in the kingdom of Valthorne, felt no different than the ancient custom of bondage. The marketplace broker, a stout man named Gareth, called out her particulars to the gathered crowd of potential employers. Strong back, can read and write, skilled in household management. His voice carried over the noise, treating her as if she were livestock rather than a person with dreams, fears, and a brilliant mind hidden beneath layers of poverty and despair. Most who approached were farmers seeking field hands or tavern keepers looking for serving girls. Their eyes held either indifference or something that made Ilara's skin crawl. She kept her gaze fixed on the ground, her long auburn hair falling like a curtain to hide her face. Years of hardship had taught her that sometimes invisibility was the greatest protection. Then came a different sort of silence. Not the bustling quiet of a crowd momentarily paused, but the respectful hush that accompanies someone of considerable importance. Ilara felt, rather than saw, the approach of polished boots stopping before her. Unlike the others, these feet didn't pace around her as if inspecting merchandise. What are her terms? The voice was cultured, neither harsh nor demanding, but carrying, an authority that made Broker Gareth straighten his spine considerably. Lord Aldrich, an honor, my lord. The girl owes 12 gold marks for her family's debts. Standard 7-year contract for household service, with provisions for housing and meals, naturally. Lord Aldrich Ravencrest was a man of 32 years, inheritor of vast estates and a reputation for fairness that was rare among the nobility. His dark hair was touched with premature silver at the temples, and his gray eyes held an intelligence that missed little. Unlike many of his peers, he had never purchased indentured servants, preferring to hire willing workers at fair wages. Today, however, something had compelled him to stop. "Look at me, please," he said gently to Ilara. The kindness in his voice surprised her into raising her head. For a moment their eyes met, his steady gray gaze and her startled green one. In that brief connection, something shifted. Lord Aldrich saw not the hollow-cheeked girl that poverty had made, but the spark of intelligence and dignity that hardship had not been able to extinguish. "I'll take her contract," he said to Gareth, never looking away from Ilara. "But I'm purchasing it outright, 12 gold marks to free her from obligation. She may then choose her own employment." Gareth's eyes widened. Such generosity was unheard of and certainly unprofitable. "My lord, surely you mean to hire her yourself. The investment—" "I mean exactly what I said." Lord Aldrich's tone carried a finality that brooked no argument. He reached into his coin purse and counted out the marks. "Draw up the papers for her freedom." Ilara stared at this stranger who had just changed the course of her life with a few casual words. In all her 17 years, no one outside her family had shown her such unexpected kindness. Her eyes filled with tears she had thought long dried up. "I don't understand, my lord," she whispered. Lord Aldrich smiled, the first genuine warmth she had seen in months. "There's nothing to understand. You're free now. Though if you're in need of honest work, I do have a position in my household library. The pay is fair and the quarters are comfortable, but the choice is entirely yours." As the legal papers were drawn and signed, Ilara felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. This man, this stranger, had seen something in her worth saving. She didn't yet know what lay ahead, but for the first time in a very long while, the future held possibility rather than mere survival. 3 months had passed since that transformative day in the marketplace, and Ravencrest Manor had become more than just Ilara's workplace. It had become her sanctuary of learning and growth. The position Lord Aldrich had offered her as library assistant had proven to be far more than either of them had initially imagined. The Ravencrest Library was a testament to generations of scholarly pursuits, its towering shelves housing thousands of volumes on subjects ranging from ancient history to natural philosophy, from poetry to practical engineering. What had begun as simple cataloging work had evolved into something far more meaningful as Ilara's capabilities became apparent. "These ledgers from the eastern provinces," she said one morning, looking up from a collection of documents Lord Aldrich had asked her to organize. "There are discrepancies in the tax assessments that suggest either mathematical errors or deliberate manipulation." Lord Aldrich, who had been reviewing correspondence at his desk, raised an eyebrow. In just a few months, Ilara had transformed from the frightened, hollow-cheeked girl he had encountered in the marketplace. Regular meals had restored color to her cheeks, and her natural intelligence, no longer suppressed by the weight of survival, was flourishing remarkably. "Show me," he said, moving to examine her work. Ilara had not only organized the chaotic records, but had cross-referenced them with population data and harvest reports, creating a comprehensive analysis that revealed systematic discrepancies. Her careful script filled margins with calculations and observations that demonstrated a mind capable of complex reasoning and pattern recognition. "This is exceptional work," Lord Aldrich said, genuine admiration in his voice. "Have you had formal education in mathematics?" A flush crept up Ilara's neck. "My father taught me what he could before everything changed. I used to help him with his merchant accounts, but mostly I just enjoy puzzles, finding how things fit together." Over the following weeks, Lord Aldrich began bringing her more challenging tasks. He discovered that her talents extended far beyond numerical analysis. Her insights into historical texts revealed a deep understanding of human nature and political dynamics. When she helped translate some old manuscripts from neighboring kingdoms, her linguistic intuition proved remarkably accurate. "You're wasted." "As a library assistant," he told her one evening as they worked by lamplight, collaborating on a complex trade agreement that required both legal knowledge and cultural sensitivity. "Your mind is suited for diplomacy, for scholarship, for leadership." Ilara looked up from her work, a quill poised in her hand. "I'm grateful for what I have, Lord Aldrich. A few months ago, I had nothing. That's not what I mean." He set down his own pen and studied her face, noting how confidence had gradually replaced the fearful uncertainty that had once dominated her expression. "I mean that you have gifts that could serve the kingdom. Your analytical mind, your ability to see patterns others miss. These are rare talents." It was then that she smiled, truly smiled, for the first time since he had known her. The transformation was startling. Intelligence sparkled in her green eyes, and the genuine warmth of her expression revealed a beauty that had nothing to do with physical appearance and everything to do with the radiance of a brilliant mind finally allowed to flourish. "I never thought of it that way," she admitted. "Growing up, my dreams seemed so foolish. I wanted to read every book ever written, to understand how governments work, to maybe even travel to other kingdoms and learn their ways." "Why foolish?" "Because girls like me don't have such opportunities. We survive if we're lucky. We don't dream of changing the world." Lord Aldrich felt something shift in his chest, a recognition that went deeper than professional appreciation. Here was someone whose inner light had been hidden not by nature, but by circumstance. Someone whose true beauty lay in the extraordinary combination of intelligence, resilience, and compassion that hardship had refined rather than destroyed. "Perhaps it's time to reconsider what's possible," he said quietly. "I have connections. In the capital, colleagues who would value your insights. There are positions in the royal administration that require exactly your combination of skills." Alara's eyes widened. "You would recommend me?" "I would be honored to. But more than that." He paused, realizing that his feelings had evolved beyond those of a benefactor or even a friend. "I hope you'll consider staying here, working with me, not as an employee, but as a partner in the management of these estates, and perhaps, in time, as something more." The words hung in the air between them, full of possibility and promise. Alara felt her heart race, not from fear as it had so often in the past, but from the thrilling recognition that her life was about to change once again. This time through the recognition of her true worth by someone who mattered deeply to her.